This year, for the first time in a long time, I was actually excited to buy the regular iPhone 17. Usually, I'm the guy telling everyone to skip the base model because Apple holds back too much. But this year, with the regular iPhone 17, Apple actually cooked. So after 7 days of using it as my main phone, here's my story on what surprised me, what annoyed me, and whether or not you should buy one. Also, quickly before we dive in, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys do subscribe and you turn on the notifications. It's honestly crazy that we're about to hit 70,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. And a quick plug, all the wallpapers you see throughout this video are from my digital store. Everything is 20% off for September, so if you're looking to freshen up your setup, I've dropped a link below. These are absolute fire. Now, let's get into it. The first thing I took immediate notice of was the display. Apple finally gave us 120Hz ProMotion on the regular iPhone. After years of asking for this and being told that the average consumer doesn't care, the average consumer won't notice, we finally have it. And let me tell you, it's a night and day difference from the regular iPhone 16. Scrolling feels amazing, animations, transitions, every interaction on this display just feels so smooth. And the 6.3-inch size makes it perfect for one-handed use. Now, outdoors, the brightness cranks up all the way to 3000 nits. And take this in. This phone has an anti-reflective coating, something we've only ever seen on Pro phones like the S25 Ultra up until now. Combine that with HDR support and an always-on display, this phone feels more like a Pro iPhone than a regular iPhone. And durability-wise, we have Ceramic Shield 2, which is no joke. I never use screen protectors on my phone, and by now I'd usually see a micro scratch or two, but after a week, nothing. It's holding up really well. But right after the honeymoon phase came the reality check. Performance is good, don't get me wrong, but iOS 26 is a very resource-intensive UI, and my suspicions were confirmed when I came across a Reddit thread where people were measuring insane power spikes just from simple UI interactions. The iPhone 17 comes with the new A19 chip built on a 3nm node, paired with 8GB of RAM. On paper, it's more efficient, and you will feel that in daily use. Everything is quick, animations are clean, apps stay in the memory longer, but here's the twist. iOS 26 is heavy. This new UI is resource hungry in ways that caught me off guard. For example, just swiping down on the control center can spike power draw up to 8 or 9 watts. And if you have transparency effects turned on like I do, it can jump all the way up to 14 watts. That's the same as playing a full 3D game, just from scrolling the menus. Screen recording in HDR power spikes up to 6 watts, and taking a single HDR screenshot spikes all the way up to 17 watts. Even starting Apple Maps navigation briefly hits 9 watts. Now, if you're on an older iPhone, this is where things get rough. Users on Reddit have already noticed immense power drain and even thermal throttling on older iPhones. And honestly, that makes the regular iPhone 17 feel like a good enough reason to upgrade. Even though iOS 26 is power hungry, the A19 chip found inside this phone handles it way better than older silicon. So while the efficiency of the A19 doesn't completely erase the demands of iOS 26, it does balance them out. And despite all of those spikes, the battery life is surprisingly solid. Which brings me to the next part of this story. After a few days of really living with this phone, the battery life became one of the most interesting parts of the story. On average days, social media, messaging, YouTube, live photography, I was getting around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time, which easily gets me through a full day. But when I pushed this phone harder, recording 4K video, gaming, cranking up the brightness outdoors, it dropped closer to 5.5 hours to 6 hours of screen on time, which is not bad, but you will definitely notice the drain. Now here's where things get wild. With low power mode turned on, those crazy spikes from iOS 26 gets capped. And suddenly I was seeing around 9 to 10 hours of screen on time before hitting 20%. That's a significant jump from just flipping one toggle. So the way that I'd put this is this. The iPhone 17's A19 chip keeps things efficient enough even with iOS 26's heavy UI. You still get solid battery life, but it's not breaking any records. But for a phone this size, it's pretty impressive. And compared to older iPhones running iOS 26, which are draining way faster and even throttling, this feels like one of the best reasons to upgrade. So by day 5, I had a really good understanding of what these cameras had to offer. On paper, the iPhone 17 is packing more heat than you'd expect from a regular model. A 48-megapixel Fusion main camera paired with an ultra-wide, both feeding into Apple's new image pipeline. And the results are honestly impressive. Daylight photos come out sharp, the colors lean natural without being flat, and portraits especially hit the sweet spot, with good skin tones and smooth background blur. It's the type of shot you'd want to post immediately with no edits required. Dynamic range is another highlight. I shot directly into a bright sky, and instead of getting blown out whites, the phone pulled back detail on the clouds while keeping the subject exposed. The balance used to be hit or miss on older iPhones, but here I feel like it's more consistent. Now let's talk about the zoom or the lack thereof. The regular iPhone 17 doesn't have a telephoto lens, so while you do get crispy 1x and 2x shots from the main sensor, anything beyond that and starts to lose detail. And if you push the camera to 5x or more, the image begins to soften quickly. But if you care about zoom photography, this is where the Pro lineup still wins. Now low light was more of a mixed experience. In restaurants and city night shots, the main sensor did a great job, brightening the scene, keeping the colors accurate, and pulling in plenty of detail without things looking fake. But in really dark, high contrast scenes, noise starts to creep in, textures get smudged, and the ultra-wide lens starts to show its limits. Still, for a non-pro iPhone, this is better than what I expected. One flaw I noticed though, in close-up shots like when I'm trying to shoot food, the phone sometimes flips between the main sensor and the ultra-wide sensor to lock focus. And the results can look fine, but it does shift the framing unexpectedly, which can be annoying. It's not a huge problem, but it's one of those things that you will notice. So as most of you probably already know, the new iPhone 17 doesn't come with a charger in the box. That's why I've been using the TORRAS Flexline charger. And honestly, it's become a go-to. First off, it has a built-in retractable cable that extends smoothly up to 1 meters and snaps back tangle-free. It feels premium and is tested to last over 10,000 pulls. There's also a magnetic locking Type-C head, so alignment is always secure, which is super convenient when I'm on the go. The Flexline charger can push out 67 watts of fast charging and even charge 2 devices at the same time. So I can juice up my iPhone 17 and my MacBook Air without carrying multiple bricks. And when I'm done, the foldable plug and compact design makes it easy to slip into my pocket without scratching anything. What I really do appreciate though is the smart temperature control system. It's actively protecting your battery's health, which is important if you plan on keeping your iPhone for years. So yeah, if you just got the iPhone 17, this is hands down the charger that I would recommend. Check out the link in the description and the pinned comment to grab one. I highly recommend TORRAS products. On the video side, the phone is classic iPhone. Smooth stabilization, reliable colors, and sharp footage. Shooting in 4K HDR at 30 FPS looks great, and handheld clips felt gimbal-like in terms of steadiness. Rolling shutter is handled decently well, though in fast pans you can see some wobble. And I can't forget about the upgraded selfie camera. At 18 megapixels with Apple's new center stage framing, it's fantastic for FaceTime and selfies. The lens adapts to fit multiple people in frame, and for vlogging it's sharp, clean, and handles dynamic range surprisingly well for a selfie camera. But one of the coolest new tricks this year is the dual capture feature. It lets you record with both the front and the rear camera at the same time. So you can film what's happening in front of you while also catching your own reaction. For vloggers or even casual moments like concerts or family events, this is so useful. I tested it walking into the Eaton Center, filming the mall with the rear camera while my reaction popped up in a window on the front camera, and it works seamlessly. This is the kind of feature that is designed for creators, and you guys will absolutely love it. And one last thing worth mentioning, some people online have reported a rare bug when shooting around bright LED walls or concert lighting. You get these weird black boxes or white squiggles in the image. I haven't personally seen it myself, but Apple has acknowledged it and a software update is coming. So the bottom line is the iPhone 17's cameras are way better than expected for a base model. You don't get the same zoom flexibility or the absolute low light mastery of the Pro lineup, but for everyday shooting, portraits, landscape, vlogging, and casual night shots, this phone holds its own. So by day 6, the iPhone 17 stopped feeling like a new gadget, and it just became my everyday phone. And that's where you really notice the little things. First off, the color. I went with the sage green, and I think it's one of the best colors in the entire lineup. It's subtle, but it catches the light in a really clean way. It makes the phone feel fresh without being flashy. Then there's the weight and the size. Coming from the Pro Max, this feels like a relief. The 6.3-inch size is perfect for one-handed typing, scrolling long sessions on socials, or texting without constantly adjusting your grip. It's light enough that you don't get hand fatigue that comes with bigger iPhones, but it's still big enough to feel immersive when you're watching content. The reception and the call quality have been excellent, no drop calls, even in areas where my older iPhones would sometimes cut out. The call clarity is sharp on both ends, and the speakers are great for music, YouTube, even speakerphone calls, which I do often. The sound is surprisingly full and loud for a base model. It's one of those details that doesn't get hyped up in the spec sheets, but it makes a huge difference when this is the device you rely on every single day. By day 7, the new phone shine had worn off, and the iPhone 17 just sort of blended into my life. And honestly, that's the best compliment I can give it. Apple finally gave the regular iPhone the kind of upgrades that used to be locked behind a Pro paywall. 120Hz ProMotion, an always-on display, 3000 nits brightness with an anti-reflective coating, ceramic shield 2, and even that perfect 6.3-inch size. Add in the A19 chip with its efficiency gains, the new Fusion cameras, and daily use perks like the sage green finish, lightweight design, and excellent reception, and the iPhone 17 doesn't feel like a cheap phone anymore. It's not perfect. The battery life is solid, but it can dip fast if you're pushing iOS 26 too hard. There's no telephoto lens, so zoom isn't as strong as the Pro models, and yes, sometimes the thermals do get warm, especially for recording long HDR video or gaming, but those are trade-offs that I can live with, especially considering the price at $799. So 1 week later, do I regret buying the regular iPhone 17? Not at all. In fact, I think this is the first time in years where I can confidently say the non-Pro iPhone is actually worth recommending. For 99% of you watching, this is the sweet spot, and this is the phone that you should be buying. And if you made it this far into the video, drop a dolphin emoji down in the comments below. I would love to know who my true supporters are. Don't forget to like the video, hype the video, subscribe to the channel, and stick around for my next video featuring a day in the life with the iPhone 17. That's coming very soon, and don't forget to flex with your tech.